Right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there are rivalries between teams, and then there are rivalries when two teams or multiple teams are competing to reach a common goal. And we're seeing that on display this year in the National League West. So, as it has been for quite some time, the battle to try to dethrone the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have won this division 11 times in the last 12 years. And of course, the Dodgers are looking to make it 12 out of the last 13. But when you think about the National League West and you think about the rivalries within that division, the biggest one that comes to mind, of course, is the Dodgers and San Francisco Giants. And of course, this is a rivalry that dates back to New York City when both clubs played there. But aside from the Dodgers and Giants, you look at the upstart San Diego Padres, and I say upstart not to disrespect them because they've been in contention for the last couple of years. But they simply and I totally get it. I'm not trying to say that to down them. They don't want to be no viewed anymore as the little brothers of the Dodgers. And of course, it's trying to knock them off. And of course, we've seen the Padres and Dodgers get it on in the postseason in two of the last 3 years. Of course, the Padres got the better of the Dodgers in 2022. And then, of course, the Dodgers came back and got the Padres last year in the divisional round en route to winning the World Series. And when it's all said and done with everything I just mentioned, here in late June, and this is at the time of this recording on a Friday night, the Dodgers are still sitting atop the National League West. They came into play on Friday with a 3.5 game lead over the Giants, and then a 5 game lead over San Diego. And then you look at it, all three California teams that call the National League West home are competitive this year. And in my opinion, that's a good thing for these rivalries. Maybe not the traffic up and down I 5. Of course, there's plenty of traffic on I 5 as it is. But nonetheless, I think this is good for those rivalries. I talked about the Dodgers and Padres, meeting, a couple of times in the last couple of years in the postseason. And then, of course, the tense series this week at Chavez Ravine between San Diego and Los Angeles. We saw Shohei get hit a couple of times. We saw Fernando Tatis Jr. for San Diego get hit by pitches a couple of times. The tenseness between the managers. We saw Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, get ejected in one game. Mike Schilt, the manager of San Diego, and Dave Roberts had to be separated at times as well. So you look at it, there's no love lost between these teams. There's a lot at stake. I know it's just June, but there's still plenty at stake for these teams in this division. And then, of course, there's the Diamondbacks, and they're 37 and 37 coming into play on Friday. But nonetheless, I still think that they can be a factor in this division. But again, like I said before, everybody's chasing LA right now. You still even with the Diamondbacks, you still got four teams that have a legit shot to make the playoffs this year. I said coming in to the season when I previewed back in the spring, I said you got a very good possibility to see three, maybe four teams from the National League West be postseason bound, and I'm going to stick by that. There's plenty of star power in this division going right up and down. You name it. Shohei, Mookie Betts, Ketel Marte, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, just to name a few. Okay. We know about the big move that the Giants made this week to acquire Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox, and that is clearly showing that they intend to be players this year and get to the postseason and possibly do some damage there. But again, the Giants made their move. It's only going to be a matter of time before the Dodgers make a move because the Dodgers always make a move. It's one of those things sometimes with the Dodgers. They're playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And there's a reason why they've won this division so much in the last decade or so, and there's a reason why they've got a pair of World Series championships to their credit this decade, and also there's a reason why they're once again in the mix to try to run it back. But for me, you look at the Padres, you look at the Giants, two darn good teams. Okay. And I feel like they are poised to keep it close with the Dodgers for that top spot in the division this year. But of course, keeping it close and being able to overtake the Dodgers are two different things. And I think this is going to be a dogfight to the very end for the top spot. And like I said before, I see multiple teams getting into the postseason derby from this division. Three, possibly four. Sounds like I'm playing spades there a little bit, but nonetheless, that just gives you an idea of the depth of this division. The Dodgers got some injuries that they're dealing with, but they're still sitting in the top spot. The Giants always have that pitching, and I think the addition of Devers is going to help them. And San Diego, to me as a team, they're the ultimate wild card because if they get hot, they're going to get hot. Okay, and just plain and simple, get out of their way. And I know Arizona's dealing with stuff, but like I said before, I still feel the Diamondbacks can be a factor in this division. And of course, in order to win this division and in order to get to the postseason, I think another factor for all of these teams, they have to avoid the slip up against the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have been bad this year. They're 17 and 58 through their first 75 games. Okay, they've won a couple of games within the division, don't get me wrong. But you don't want to be that team to lose a series, and you don't want to be that team to possibly get swept by a team that you're supposed to beat. Why? Because those wins are going to be magnified. Those wins are going to be so important for postseason positioning for everybody else. So you got to go out there and take care of your business in those 13 games against Colorado. Like I said, the Dodgers are still in the catbird seat, and it's a matter of will the Giants or will the Padres be able to do enough to overtake them? We got to wait and see. More than likely, I see three teams getting in from this division, maybe four. But I'll tell you like this: having the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres in contention at the same time is darn good. Okay, it is a very good thing. Maybe it could be, just kept to the great state of California, but nonetheless, rivalries are what makes sports. Okay, and it's one of those things, there's no love lost between the Giants and Padres, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those where when they're all converging trying to get the Dodgers like off of their perch, if you will, I think that's a good thing. And of course, you think about the intense fan bases in San Diego to follow the Padres. Same thing in LA for the Dodgers. And of course, with the Giants up in the Bay Area. But nonetheless, I think this is really shaping up to be arguably the best division in baseball. I think the second half of the season in the National League West is going to be extremely intense. We've seen the Giants make their big move so far. What's going to be up the sleeve of the Dodgers and what are the Padres going to do? But nonetheless, the battle in the National League West is on. All three California teams have a shot, and let's see who has what it takes to get to the finish line over the second half of the season. And again, what we've seen in recent years, not necessarily winning your division, eliminates you from things. Just getting into that postseason derby, and that's why I think, regardless of how many teams that the NL West sends to the playoffs, they all can be extremely dangerous. Baseball is as exciting as ever, in my opinion. This National League West battle is must see TV. And I think over the second half of the season, the intensity is going to go up to another level and things are going to get bigger and better. But nonetheless, there is a battle for supremacy, excuse me, in the NL West. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And just like it is on the X, you can also check me out on Instagram at 300 pounds of sports knowledge. You give me that follow, I'll give you that follow right back. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 pounds of sports knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.